I recently met up with CPaaS Acceleration Alliance founding partner Rob Kurver at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, where we talk about the connection of the CPaaS space and the mobile space.
So Rob, you guys are been in this a year now with the CPaaS Acceleration Alliance. You've been on this journey a year. What are you getting from this year's show?
Okay, so this year's show is really amazing in my mind, right? So as you said, we started about a year ago. A year ago, we were walking around with the Alliance, four guys, trying to run from meeting to meeting, right? Let's meet at the hot dog stand, second one from the left. And you spend a lot of time walking, which is great for your health, but not so much for the meetings. So last year, of course, there was the release of the announcement of OGI, Open Gateway Initiative, which sort of built on Camara, the network APIs. I think what we're seeing now, what's really cool, is really the first results of those 2 years of development. But what I find, so we see network APIs and its first use cases, like Infobip does something in Brazil with a couple of operators. There's a few of those, which is cool. So it's sort of starting to show that it's possible. But what for me the biggest takeaway is really the energy, the synergy, and let's say the way that the telco industry, at least on stage, right, and in the stories and the visions, is really rising to this opportunity of becoming, again, a crucial part of this whole digital transformation. Instead of saying, hey, we do the network, we put in the pipes, and somebody else, please Microsoft and the other guys, do something with it, right, and don't interfere with what we're doing. Now, because the network APIs sort of become part of CPaaS, so we're seeing a lot of that synergy happening in our alliance as well. Different collaborations. The network APIs that the telco produced is now part of the solution. I feel very proud. And they actually contribute, maybe a very tiny technical piece, but in terms of value, think about security, anti-fraud. These simple APIs create a ton of value for customers like you and me when we're doing our bank thingy and we know it's more secure because the telco gets involved. So I think we're starting to see these new use cases. We're starting to see that it's possible to collaborate within the industry. Let's say IT and telco, and the lines are blurring further. So I think that's really a different way. And of course, then everybody starts talking about AI. But that's a little bit longer term.
It's interesting. A lot of these booths are just visionary. And particularly the carriers. They might have a flying car or a smart city, or
we still see drones.
But they're trying to do that. But in the past, we've been in this business a long time. And like two things that have always been the case. Number one, carriers are not really great at doing stuff out of their core business. As much as they would like to be. They're good at running their networks, and it's hard for them to step out. And then for the last, 130 years, they've been very closed and protective, and they don't allow anybody in, and that's kind of stifled innovation. And so as carriers want to expand, the API is really their way to do that, because now they don't have to be everything to everybody. They can use like your members and companies like that to partner with them.
Exactly. So I think the API, and of course people that have been in the business of APIs have been saying this for years, right? That's the whole idea of an API. It's not the technical part. It's a way to collaborate between different organizations, different peoples in a natural way. And it's great to see that that's really starting to happen. Now, of course, the next step is going to be monetization of these use cases, right? This is only really step one, maybe step 1.5. We're not there yet. So we're really happy with the collaboration we have with the GSMA, with Linux Foundation, with all these guys that are building these foundations. So as an alliance now, we can start to build on that, working with our CPaaS members, the providers, the enablers from across the globe, with them and the telco community to build that bigger picture. Not in a technical sense, because people are working on that now, but really think more about business cases, business models, use cases across the globe. So what we're working on is collecting all those sort of best practices from our members, who are the early majority, if you will, right? collecting those best practices, getting those use cases in a huge playbook, make that available to these carriers that are taking the first steps on this path. So they see, okay, so this worked over there, and these were the drivers for success, and we're trying to get, and this is the hard part, we're also trying to get the learnings, right? Nobody wants to talk about their failures and what they learned, especially on this industry, but it's really important that we also learn from what went wrong. And one of the things with APIs, of course, is how do you get access to developers? So there are various ways around that, but it's really important to learn from what others have done already. So we're trying to collect all of that stuff in our playbook, make it available to our community, and we're really doubling down on the telco industry, because we see it's really the next phase for CPaaS, right? It's that blend with the network. It used to be, we have the network and then the smart kids can build something on top of it, and now we have Twilio and Infobip and this and that. And it all started with messaging, which was 10 years ago. CPaaS is not messaging, right? CPaaS is all the smart stuff that you can do with IoT, with AI, with AR, all the stuff that you also report on all the time. That's the next thing, and that's all about CPaaS and all about APIs and bringing people together. So I think, and I find that atmosphere here more than in previous years, which is cool. It's a good step.
Well, you've got the entrepreneurs here. You got all kind of companies solving all kind of business problems. And then you've got the big carriers up here doing their thing, and it's really cool how you guys are, starting to bridge that gap.
And then you have the CPaaS providers who have actually access to the developers, right? Because they've been in that space for 10 years. Like Infobip, one of our Accelerate members, they have those developers. They can work with the telco. So we're trying to mix that all up. And well, it sounds pretty easy, of course. It's going to take a couple more years, but I'm really optimistic that we're making actual steps towards better customer experience, a safer digital environment for ordinary people like you and me, our parents, whatever, which is really important. And I mean, there are bigger goals, right? Sustainability. I mean, it's more than a word. It's really, if you think about, I'm sure you've done the math as well, with AI, the compute power needed for AI, the energy needed. I mean, these are things that we need to tackle also collectively. So.
Well, I'm so excited how far you guys have come in the last year and bringing the industry and this partnership with the GSMA. Like, I just look forward to next year, sitting down again, having this conversation and just seeing all the good stuff that's happened. So,
great.
Great to see you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks.
For more information on the Alliance, go to CPaaSAA.com.